Hello and welcome to Changemakers Show, where we speak with inspiring and influential changemakers and the people who support them, up close and personal. So get cozy and get ready to listen to our changemakers' stories and advice. Ask your burning questions and get inspired by their impact so you can be and bring the change you wish to see in the world too. Now let's get started with today's show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a new episode of Changemakers Show. Today we are with Servane, who's the founder of Ogunte, and I'm very, very glad to welcome her to this series that we are doing with social entrepreneurs, supporters. So, Servane, why don't you start with telling us what's Ogunte about, and maybe also a little bit about yourself and why you started it in the first place.
Wow, how long do we have? Thank you for having me, Solène. Hello, everyone. So Ogunte is a sort of an agency, a boutique organization that has the gender lens as its heart and support women-led organizations that have an impact or want to influence social and environmental change. So we believe that influential, skilled, and connected women with bold solutions to social and environmental issues can create sustainable opportunities to make the world a better place, or people's worlds a better place. And we support them in doing so. So we work with women social entrepreneurs, but also women activists, women network leaders, and also their intermediaries and finance providers, advisors, coaches, mentors, fundraisers. We create we delve into that ecosystem to try and all that jargon to make shift that needle, to make shift that balance. And we have different ways to do so with capacity building programs, coaching, mentoring programs, events, and all sorts of analysis and research in the sector. And that helps us challenge surveys that come, in people's mailbox and say, why do you ask these questions? You're not making any change by asking the same questions. So we challenge others, and we are challenged as well. And we work with peers to make that intersectional lens more a real thing than just an awareness thing.
Yeah. So it's like from awareness to action. A little
Yes,
bit.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. And can you tell us a bit of the background story of why Ogunte started in the first place, and maybe has this mission or vision evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's so funny because I think we had a conversation before, and many people say, when was the starting day? When did you decide? I didn't. There was never a real formal or informal day where I started. I was just very fond of, I was living in the Netherlands in the 90s, very fond of community development and how people being together from different backgrounds could really make things change. And I'm talking about people in the arts, in sports, in academia, and just mates, really. How they could put their energy together and make things change. And I always have an opinion about everything, really, but not real structure to make things happen for real. So I had to learn by doing, and also had to make a living. And I couldn't see myself in a 9-to-5 job in a sort of formal FTSE 100 company where, stock exchange is more important than the well-being of people and the impact they make on people, really. So that's not really my gig. I tried this, but it didn't work. I learned a lot, but it didn't work out as I hoped it would. And I very quickly said, okay, let me just do my own thing. And that's my freelancing. I hate that word. My freelancing world started, and then because I was living in the Netherlands, you need to formalize, so I just set up Ogunte like that. The mission then was just about, putting people together makes change happen. It was very, very fuzzy. The poor advisors didn't get it much, and then it slowly year passed by, and I learned by doing, made enormous mistakes, which I probably talked about later. And what were the biggest mistakes? I've got a whole cluster about that. Ogunte then became more of a go-to place for social entrepreneurs in the wider sense of the word, because obviously being in different countries, people have different definitions. That's another issue. And then naturally, organically, I realized that a lot of people in the room and the clients who were approaching me or was working with were essentially women. So I don't know if it was the colorful website or the tone or the different tone, but we pioneered a place, that intersection, where women in business with a sort of purpose-led vision, and women in social enterprise, the more formal ones, and others were just aggregating together in that place that were not available to them before. There were women in business networks, there were social enterprise networks already in the early 2000s, early noughties, but not the thing for women themselves. And I didn't want to have something that secluded them from anything else, but it was just a meeting place, a hanging place, where they could just be themselves, not being judged, not having that pressure of performing like a bloke or whatever, or being judged because they were women, the same old. And they were just, it was liberating for them. So we pioneered that space, and I think, so we started in 2001 in the Netherlands. So 17, 18 years later, it just, we knew it was right, because we've got lots of, not just copycats, but other organizations who do that in other different regions in the world, and that's great. And some of us, we are connected. We have a system of ambassadors and a map of when women have got a network of women-led social enterprises. Then we all come together and we pass on information, and we knowledge, skills, challenges, and we come together. So it's a sort of flat, collaborative structure that just supports a movement. And that movement, as we know now, is not just about social business. It's about a mindset. It's about influencing policy law, putting people to justice, avoiding some activists being killed. It just spreads out more than just, let's set up a little product-based social business here in this community. That is important, but it's not just that. Mm-hmm. So supporting, having a gender lens or the social entrepreneurship has that ramification, and I think it's great that I'm not just the only one on the block doing that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I love that what you say about that collaboration, and like it also links with what you mentioned with having a space for women in, like, when you first started to set it up, was also so that there was no competition or no judging or no a strike for striving, and it's super interesting. And then, because you mentioned it, now everybody's curious. What was the biggest mistake you have made? Or like, looking back, if there was something that now you would advise other people to do differently, as you are you're an entrepreneur supporter, but you're an entrepreneur as well yourself, which is one of the value that you can give as well, compared to like government organizations or those type of support networks. So what would you say a big mistake you have?
I met a few. At the beginning, I just didn't understand the jargon. I had no idea. So I also didn't have much of a finance. I didn't have much financial skills. I mean, I could, I never was in the red when I was. My personal finance is okay. But on the business side, I didn't have the knowledge about, the cash flow. We're talking about 2000, 2001. I didn't have that cash flow projection thing, the finance, the terms, the basic accounting skills, and planning skills. Also, I was a great event manager. I think I should have used these skills in the overall business as well at the beginning. Planning, road mapping, funneling, understanding process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I see nowadays how crazy people became because of that GDPR law, the European law on data and protection and privacy.
Mm-hmm.
When I see that people rushed into changing their privacy policy, or just maybe send an email, say opt in or opt out, and the amount of mistakes and non-compliant messages that came out, it's Jesus Christ, and those are established organizations. We've got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
So having some basic understanding on finance, maybe not becoming an accountant, but at least have some sort of corporate finance workshops, you tick your boxes, some planning, and you don't have to do an MBA either, but having some key basic tools dusted and continue to upgrade your skills on upskill around these technical aspects of the business is good. It's very good. It's not going to happen magically. You've got to put the work in it. So, and you don't have to be again a PhD. You have a PhD in accounting or whatever, but have these basic skills, and then you surround yourself with people who know this stuff, and you can delegate from time to time when you grow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not one thing you take in isolation. So accounting and understanding numbers will help you tell better stories. Looking at your data, looking at your what happens, and evaluating and monitoring would help you delve back into your accounts and see, well, it's not a good idea to do that. We're losing, but we're making a loss, etc. And then looking out, communicating and communication skills, and how you articulate what you do and who you are, and help formulate a different kind of strategy. And everything is related. Everything is related. So we need to stop thinking about our market or about our customers, but also about our process and operation as siloed chunk of stuff. It's a system, and we need to understand how all these parts correlate and connect with each other, know. And so again, this is good for operation, it's good for your market, for your future trends, for your if you call it competition, or what the others are doing, or whatever you want to call that, it doesn't matter. It's to be aware, and then your partnership, etc. But also your mindset, and how all this is linked. So think more in a systemic way is crucial. And at the beginning, I didn't have this kind of thoughts, and I had no clue. I felt this was there, but I didn't have the process to digest that. So,
and how that, like, did you have I don't know, an aha moment at some point, or like was it more of a lean process, and then looking back you wish you had that from the get-go, or like how did that transition?
All of it. I lived through. I know sometimes you ask people what makes you get up in the morning, what do you wake up for. I live for aha moment. I'm just addicted to that. So yes, all of it. Very lean. I'm very flexible and lean too. No, there are periods of in the year where you go in 2-3 months and you're absolutely flatlining. You produce stuff. There's not much thinking behind it. And then you have a casual conversation with a peer or someone like you, and then boo. Or you give advice to someone, or you coach someone, and then you say, what if I apply this question to me? So to answer your question, it's a combination of aha moment, lean, sitting down and reflecting with a coach or a mentor, or someone from the team, or someone from our network who's going through exactly the same problem. And not staying isolated with your thoughts, because you know, you don't have much, how could you say that, reflecting. Well, that's the reason for that. You really need to expand your thinking world and your do world. So I have, and then see how things transform and come back to you with a different articulation, that's how I see that.
Okay, cool.
Is it a bit cryptic? Is it a bit mysterious? Metaphorical world. I love metaphors. It helps me think better at times.
Wonderful. I also wanted to ask you, I don't know if you witnessed that in your, in your own ecosystem, but we realized that, one thing we see with women social entrepreneurs in particular is that sometimes they hesitate on making investment in their business, and they have this feeling that the more they put on their shoulders, the better it's gonna be. And so I wanted to ask you, like, is it something that you see? And also, what has been your best investment in your business? And talking about not doing everything on your, like, by yourself, basically.
Well, that's the answer. The minute you put other people on board is the best investment, because you extend your brain. About what women in social enterprises are also women. Women in social enterprises might feel or might give the impression that they don't invest much. Is probably also because there is a lot more at stake in their world. Some I've talked to, so I can't speak for the millions of women in social enterprise in the world. But I said the ones I talked to, I realized that they also think more systemically as well. I said, if I make a mistake with this investment, it's my livelihood, it's my job, or even if it doesn't pay much, it's my house. What am I going to do with the kids if I got that, or the people I'm caring for? So there's some sort of communal thinking that's not natural, but that is how do you say acquired? How do you say it's not natural? The opposite.
Cultural.
Learned. So some kind of communal behavior that is learned, but that is perpetrated, that they take, and that has an influence over their thinking. So sometimes it's good because it fosters collaboration, etc. when it works, yeah. When it's bad, it means that you hesitate to move forward. And the extreme negative impact of that is if you don't want to move too much, because what your understanding of what risk is too huge for you. So so I think we can't talk about risk adversity, but we need to talk about the definition of risk in someone's life. What risk means to you, and does this perception prevent you from putting some money in there, or just getting, doing this kind of work in your community unwaged for a certain amount of time? Some people are crazy. They just really go for it because it's their belief that they should be involved in the community, but they do not pay themselves, or they have no way of retributing or paying for their bills. So whatever they call it, it might not be a salary, but something has to be paid, and they still do stuff for free. First guilty, one of my biggest mistakes as well. So I think the understanding of risk has to be looked at, the understanding and perception, definition of their will. That what do they mean? But what do they, if they move something, who do they take on board? What will do they bring with them when they do stuff? Okay, that's how you see the difference between people. Some people move on their own. They're on their jack. They move. The will can collapse. They don't care. But others, when they do something, they take into account everything. And that's why it feels heavier.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
The rational is irrational, and and that's why you can't stay on your own. You really need to have someone with you, and maybe that's an example of an investment, an advisor or a mentor or someone who's around investment in time or in money, to have someone you can reflect with about these kind of behaviors and thinking. Because they mirror that back at you and they say, do you realize the cost of doing this? Yeah.
And actually that leads perfectly to my next question, which was around what would you advise to early stage entrepreneurs on a mission, whether they call themselves social entrepreneurs or not, who wonder about getting the right support, and so maybe they don't receive support yet in any form, and they don't know between joining this network or just being surrounded with peers, or maybe hiring a mentor, or there's all those different possibilities. So what would you advise?
So it seems like someone like that might be stumbling under the world of possibilities and sound bites and stuff like that. I think when that happens, just do something, one thing, just do it. And it might be that you're actually going to volunteer or get some sort of job thing in another organization. See how they do it. With your judgment and understanding and your education or your feeling or your instinct, see what's crap or what's great, move it from there, and then build your own project, venture, your pilot, as we call it, in a corner, carve out some time for that, get subsidized by working for someone else if you can, to co-subsidize this piloting experience, because your bills need to be paid. And whilst you are doing a pilot and paid, you will not have thinking energy. If you're not paid, if you can't eat, if you can't pay your bills, you will not have enough thinking energy. It will ruin you, or you'll become bitter, and sooner or later this will backlash. So be in the habit of budgeting for that. The pilot is part of your overall me project. Me as a social entrepreneur working on a specific topic. It's not about creating a social business. It's about solving an issue. Be part of a movement or something. Whether it's as a pilot or as a little one-off project here, or a network, a movement, or profit-making enterprise, it doesn't matter, as long as you don't harm anyone in the process, that you're good to people and you focus on the cause. And then, but if you have, when you start and you understand and you already see that, I don't know where to go, it's too much, stop. Do one thing at a time, like a computer. The other thing is they do it very fast, but one thing at a time. Be more of a silicon person. Not a carbon person, be more of a silicon. Don't multitask. So one thing at a time, and just put things on paper or draw on your white wall, make people crazy because you've got pens on the white walls, and look at what your world looks like, look at what the inside, the ideas you get, have a clear process to understand what's going through your head, what you learn, what you don't want to do. You needs to be collected in some place. Your journal. Journaling, I'm always repeating ad libitum. I'm getting totally crazy repeating always the same. So you need to journal something like that. Your learning experience, you need to be able to come back to it, read it back, and you see what's going on. You can see what's going on. So one thing at a time, experiment with a volunteer or get paid if you can, if it's possible, in another organization, learn from it. You can theorize it if you're better at theory, a bit of theory and analyze it as much as you want, or just go with the experience and feel it if that's what you prefer. But you need to do something, one thing at a time. Put it in a journal, learn from it, talk about it with someone else. Have a process as well to absorb all the advice that people give you, because you will hear all sorts of different things. And it will make sense, and they pull you in different directions. So just pick up a mentor not for everything. Mentors are not good for everything. They're good at something. And believe me, there are some mentors you don't want to know it. You don't want to know them in their private lives. It's not 360. A mentor is good at something, not everything. So I have a mentoring a project as well around that. Pick 2 or 3 for specific things or weakness you think you've identified, or strength as well. Have a mentor that helps you boost your strength.
Excellent. Yeah, I love that.
Or a coach if you can't bear anyone giving you advice because it's too much, but have someone reflecting with you. And mentoring can also be an experience, not necessarily a person. Okay, so you sign yourself up to sort of maybe a time in another business where you're going to learn some practical skills, or learn a civic community before you again try to bring about a product that was absolutely useless or damaging, because there's a lot of social business that do that. Bring about something that's actually create more collateral damage. So learn from the audience you want to serve. Listen to them. This is also a mentoring experience. It's an experience. I've written at length about that as well. It's on my LinkedIn around mentoring and learning, and how you can really progress around that. But don't stay on your own. And one thing at a time. Be a silicon person. I hope it's the right.
The silicon metaphor.
I think that quantum something might probably be in the way of that. But so we'll do another video to adjust the tech. Sorry, but one thing at a time. That's the more important thing.
Wonderful. And I was also willing to ask you, going back to Ogunte's mission. So I'm guessing you're like measuring your impact, but also like how do you measure your impact, and how do you see that impact in the next 5 years?
Oh God, and the dreaded next 5 years goal question. I think all things evolve. So in terms of impact, for us, it's easy to look at outcomes. And then we're conscious that because we set people on a process where they have to network like crazy and understand their system better, that they will get influence from other parties, and then it becomes quite difficult for us to attribute the effect of our intervention in the long term. So, but we have the privilege to have people in the network who have been there for a long time. There's that loyalty. So I think, and the consequence or the outcomes of that loyalty is great, because people come back with their blossomed self and come and help the network. And that's the major impact that we have. So a sort of conversation, cross-pollination of practitioners in the social enterprise sector. I'm thinking about Louise van Rijn in South Africa from Partners from Possibility. Who's phenomenal in that sense. She's been an award winner in 2012 for the Ogunte Award, the Social Leadership Awards, and making enormous waves in South Africa to change the education system that needs a lot of attention by partnering business people with heads of schools. And she's got it's a battle now to make people understand that you have to practice power with and not power over. If you want to reach, if you want to make impact. So this is kind of conversations, and that's a long-going conversation that we've had with not just Louise, but other people that we worked with. And so the impact of having the good thing of having people working on these different topics and then joining forces and then we connect them, and they feel less isolated. Even if you're a prominent social entrepreneur, there are days and times where you feel isolated, or your board or your governance is not what it used to be, and then you feel on your own. So having a network you can rely on that really brings you back on track, even if it's in a tiny way like that, even sometimes symbolic, it's important. So our impact can be measured in this kind of effect and ripple effect like that. So it's very much qualitative rather than quantitative. And can show you numbers and the amount of sessions we do and per year, and but actually doesn't reveal the real story. The story is about how people can have long, ongoing conversation, how it impacts on their work, their way of being, their way of practicing their job and their skills. So we've got stories, and these stories are on our website blog, and so they're described at length.
Wonderful. You're like, it's so funny because you're always like opening the door to my very next question, which was, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, we have a website. No, yes, we have a social media channel that you can just use at the touch of your fingertips. Can you say that? Yeah. So
I guess.
Take your mobile if you have one. Have a look on the usual Facebook and Twitter. We've got a wonderful person, Catherine, on board, who's energizing these pages, and I have to keep up with her. She's great. So you will find interviews, you will find opportunities, funding, competition, challenges, a lot of campaigning as well. So as I say, we are not stuck into just technical assistance. We open up as well debate, and we share what's going on in other countries for activists, for legal background, policies, just so that you know what might come to your place soon, because that's how the world rolls. We reflect, we interview a lot of people. So these interviews are also available on our website. If you go on the website, ogunte.com, you go to Impact Women Stories, and then you'll see interviews. They're a piece of research, actually. And then you see how people navigate leadership, technical skills, future thinking, and they come from all over the world. All these women in social innovation, social businesses. So it's kind of pleasant reading, and they in turns give us some names that we should, other friends, other practitioners that we should talk to. So you can really have a great time navigating this world of these women all over the world. Finally, if you go to map.ogunte.com, I invite people, women in the social enterprise sector, wherever you are in the world, to pin your social business on the world map, and then look up. You want to maybe, and then you can tweet to them straight away. You can connect. It's interactive. If you work in the waste sector in Haiti, then you can talk to Dr. Sasha Kramer. If you want to see how water lilies can damaging the rivers and what you can do with them, that you talk to. You're going to visit Mitimeth in Nigeria, Louise Van Rey in South Africa, and so on and so on and so on. There's plenty of practitioners. I think we ought to get inspired and really put them by these women and really showcase what they do. And we can all give each other a hand.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Servane, for sharing all those insights with you. And we'll put the link that you referred to in the show notes for people to find them easily. Thanks again.
Thank you, Selene. Thank you.
Did you enjoy this episode? Never miss a show by signing up for updates at www.changemakersassociation.com/show. Or if you're on Facebook right now, type the word show in the comments below to get notified directly inside Facebook Messenger before we go live with new guests. Changemakers Show is proudly brought to you by me, Danielle, and my awesome partner, Solène, and our brainchild, Changemakers Association, the place to be to get connected with the knowledge, mentoring, and community support that every changemaker needs to succeed and thrive, creating sustainable impact. We hope to stay connected with you and see you soon.